All right, let's just start at 100 days of AI, zero to builder. I think I might have bitten off more than what I could chew. In this video, we're going to do some basic stuff. We're going to install Python. We're going to install Cursor AI, and then we're going to write a Hello World application. Magically, in most Python educational videos, this goes by easily. Matter of fact, the speaker probably doesn't make the mistake that I make of saying chat GTP constantly instead of chat GPT. Thanks, Pontiac, for coming out with the GTP car. But case in point, Python doesn't go as smoothly as I wanted it to go, which is great because this shows what this course is about. It's about using AI as the coach. It never getting tired of us asking question after question after question, and then starting back over until we get the point of the lesson and the ability. If there's two things I want you to take away from the next 15 minutes or so, it's always challenge AI. Never, ever just move on until you know exactly what you should know until you think you do. And always, always test your code or the things that AI is asking you to do. So let's jump in. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Substack so you can get this in your inbox every day. Let's start out by trying to install Python and get started using ChatGPT. So you want to, log in with your appropriate credentials, whether that's Google or creating an ID or Microsoft or whatever the options you choose. That's completely independent. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install Python, our application or our language of choice, onto our desktop PC. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to tell me how to install Python. But first, we're going to give it some context. And the first thing you need to know about AI, if you haven't already learned this, is that you need to give it as much context as possible. So notice I've given it quite a bit of detail that I've told it essentially what I told you, that I'm sharing this course, that I'm coming from programming at the long period of not doing application development. Let's see what ChatGPT gives me. This is new to me as it is to you. So as you can see, it says that according to its memory set, its training model, that Macs come with Python already pre-installed, but 2.7 is deprecated, which is the usual version. We can check this, and this is something that we're going to do often, is check ChatGPT and other AI chatbots. We're going to check their math. So we're going to open a terminal window. And we're going to type in the command and access to do to check. So literally, I shouldn't have gotten this error. And we're going to ask ChatGPT why I got this error. So by default, it's saying because I have a newer version of Mac OS X, when I typed in the Python command, it didn't come in. Now I should try typing in Python 3. And when I typed in Python 3, I got another. All right, so this is pretty cool. I'm getting what should be a really simple process. I am getting a lot of pushback. And this is where a lot of new developers and system administrators have problems where the documentation doesn't necessarily fit the process. And we're using ChatGPT as our coach to troubleshoot that process. So we're going to issue this brew uninstall Python. Again, I got another error because it said if it came with Python, if it came with brew or homebrew, I should be able to just type in brew uninstall Python. Brew is a kind of a helper for installing applications on the Mac. So I will ask it questions that you may not intuitively know to ask. One, I don't have brew installed, obviously, on this Mac. And two, you should, if you don't know what brew is, I can ask, what is brew? What is brew? So again, it tells us what is brew, why are we installing it, and its purpose when it comes to application development. So I'll tell it I don't have brew installed. So telling me how to install brew on my Mac, we are just going to copy this command and paste it into my terminal window. I have to put in my super secret password. And now brew is now installed on my laptop. Let's again, not just trust the AI, but run a test to see if it's installed. Again, I'm getting a message that I don't have brew or the command is not found. So I know what this command, this bash shell command means. If you know what a bash shell command is, ask ChatGPT, what is a bash shell command? But I am going to copy and paste this command again. And I'm going to copy and paste the next command. And now we're going to test it again. Now we have homebrew installed. Now we can go back to our instructions for installing Python. All right, so I got an error message because Python was not installed in my system. Now I can go ahead and install it using homebrew. Now, if you don't know what any of that stuff was that it was doing as it was installing the package, you can go throughout and you can ask ChatGPT, what exactly did this do to my system? And let's ask it. All right, so I got assurances from ChatGPT that I'm all good, but let's do this test of Python just to make sure that it is installed. All right, we are on 3.13.3, which doesn't quite match what this prompt says. It's probably newer than what ChatGPT has in its trained data set, but let's ask just in case. We're going to trust but verify. So Python is successfully installed, but this was a perfect example of how this course isn't going to be like other courses. If stuff breaks, and stuff will break every time you develop the most basic application, the idea is to go through and fix it, and using AI in your chat box to fix it. It doesn't matter if you're talking about ChatGPT, Gemini 2.5 Flash, or any other platforms such as Claude or even Perplexity. You need to give it context and you need to challenge it. If you don't understand something, ask questions until you do understand it. If you need external material, ask for that external material. So we're going to do a couple of more things. We're going to install Cursor, which is our IDE of choice. If you don't know what an IDE is, again, ask ChatGPT. All right, our directions for installing Cursor. I've already installed that on my system. So we're going to go ahead and launch it. We've logged in and we've logged into GitHub. I've attached this to ChatGPT, so I'm using ChatGPT. Again, if you don't know what those steps are, please go ahead and ask ChatGPT how to do exactly what I just asked you to do. We're going to create a new project and we're going to call it Hello World. All right, so now we're going to use Cursor's AI to do a new application, a simple Hello World. So you notice two things. It created a new file name called Hello World on our left, and it created the code for the Hello World application on our right, and it gave us context as to that. We can ask ChatGPT about this code. So we can copy it, go to ChatGPT and say, now it's telling me the details about the code. It's telling me I have a main or a function called main. I have this command called print hello world, which outputs text to the screen. This is a best practice, putting the main logic within the main function, etc. If you notice, it's assuming I know what a function is. I personally know what a function is. Do you know what a function is? If you don't know what a function is, ask ChatGPT or your AI. And if you don't understand what the answer that it gives you, keep asking the AI questions. It does not get tired. It doesn't get irritated. It won't stop just as long as you don't go beyond its limits of what it's trained on. You can ask questions all the way until you understand exactly what you're doing. This is the power of AI. Not only does it allow us to do things faster, but it gives us the ability to ask questions within its limits of its own knowledge base. So now that we know what a function is, we've created a basic Hello World app. We're going to go back to Cursor. We're going to accept this file. And now we have a Hello World app. And now we want to run it. And it did not run because it by default tried to use the Python command to run the file hello_world.py. Instead, it needs to run Python 3 hello_world.py. So we're going to go ahead and run that. And this is the return that it gave us, hello world. Now, that's great. But how do I run that myself without going to Cursor? Well, let's say this was a living application. I'm not going to go to Cursor every time I need to run the app, right? So just like any other file in our Mac OS system, this file lives within our file system. So I can browse to the directory that this is in, which is going to be my user home directory, and run the command. Case in point, let's ask ChatGPT the same question. All right. So it gave us detailed directions on how to run Hello World from the terminal application. So we've done this. We've created our first application after installing Python 3 and troubleshooting. Depending on what system you're in, you may have the same challenges. You may not have these challenges. This might have worked in a different way. The point of this course is that learning how to code, learning how to operate computers, learning how to engage with AI is going to be a different experience for everyone. A matter of fact, if we ask ChatGPT to create a Hello World app, I can guarantee you that it will not look the same as the app that Cursor AI picked for me. So let's do that. So again, the same effect. What I want you to understand is that AI is not deterministic. I can ask this exact same model the same question, and it will give me a slightly different output almost every time. The point of using AI is this idea of human in the loop. And we're going to see this over and over and over again on most things that we do within this next 100 days. The last thing we're going to do is ask AI every time we build an application, how do we test it? Because not only shouldn't we trust code from AI, we shouldn't trust code from anyone, and we should always test the code. A great way to come up with a test plan is to actually use AI to generate that test plan. And for this one, this is a very simple tool. We're just going to run the app and we should see the result, Hello World. We've done that a couple of different ways so we know that the code works. Or we can automate the testing. We're going to get into test automation a little bit later on in the 100 days of code, and we're going to test the application. You can play around with the automated test. That's a little heavy for this early in the course. If you're a more advanced developer, you might want to write an automated test. But I would love to see you folks this Friday on the open office hours, and see how you deviated a little bit from this next question. How can you make this application a little more interesting? And in this example that it gave me, it said, okay, how about you have it do a little bit more complex application about asking the user for their name. So giving the program an input and then putting that input into part of the response from the system. And again, you're going to ask the question, how do you test this code? Always ask the question, how do you test the code, is going to be a consistent theme of this course. We're just not going to take AI's word for it. We're going to always test the code. I hope you enjoyed this. This is going to be a fun 100 days. If this was too much for you, don't worry. Slow down. Take a couple of days. We'll be here for you at the end of the 100 days to catch up and go at the pace that you need to go at to learn the proper system commands, to get some of the muscle memory, because AI is just a power tool. Doesn't make you an application developer out the gate. You shouldn't feel bad that you don't know what some of these terms are. If I'm going too fast for you, the Substack, visit it. The YouTube channel, visit it. Ask questions. Hopefully the greater community will be there to answer the questions when I can. Buckle in. It's going to be a fun 99 more days.